We're here today with Chip Conde, who is a candidate for mayor on the Republican side this May. He does have a primary opponent. Mr. Conde, when did you decide to run for mayor of Canton?
Oh, it's probably been, I would have to say, probably late last year, maybe October, November, I started discussing it and deciding whether I wanted to or not.
And you have a key supporter that I know of in the city of Canton, be former Mayor Janet Creighton, who's now Stark County Commissioner, and I just talked to her, I think it was last week, and she confirmed that yes, indeed, she's a Chip Conde supporter.
Yes, she is. We've known each other since we were little. My father and her father worked together at Timken Company, and probably known Janet, I don't want to say how many years I've known Janet, but we went through junior high school and high school, and I've known each other that long.
So you're a lifelong Cantonian?
Yes and no. I was born here, moved away, had a job in another city, and then moved back about 16 years ago.
Now, are you acquainted with your opponent?
Mr. Gary?
Yes.
Yes. I've met him on several occasions.
Okay, and you live fairly close to one another.
About 4 blocks apart.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Now, other than the former Mayor Janet Creighton, other prominent Republicans in Canton and Stark County supporting your candidacies?
Well, hopefully, yes, I think so. And I got to say, I also have some Democrats that are supporting my candidacy also.
Care to share any names with us?
Not right now.
We're going to go through a series of issues that are first and foremost on the minds of a lot of Cantonians. And the first and foremost probably is jobs. And Mr. Conde has said in a previous interview that he's for solid economic development. And what I'd like to know is, how do you define solid economic development?
Economic development is obviously something that works hand in hand with jobs. Without the infusion of other businesses or the expansion of businesses we currently have, there are no jobs. So my feeling is you have to have someone at the top of the economic development department who is top-notch, who is organized, who's a go-getter, who's experienced in that capacity, someone who won't miss deadlines. We can't lose another $500,000. Someone who understands federal programs and state regulations so that we can get the most out of our money, the biggest bang out of our buck that we can get.
Well, in terms of the word solid, is that an implication that you want to reestablish manufacturing in Canton?
Oh, no. It can any job, whether it's and manufacturing is probably. Canton's going to have to reinvent itself. We all have to agree that manufacturing probably isn't going to come back as strong as it ever was. So we have to reinvent ourselves and decide what we can do here, what we can offer to make this business friendly, what we can offer to make our citizens more in tune with whatever businesses come. In a recent Time magazine study, I saw that education is so important, obviously. On the unemployment rolls, if you have a college degree, there's only about 5% unemployment. If you have a high school degree, it's about a 10% unemployment. If you have no degree at all, it's over 15% unemployment. So educating our citizens both about the value of education and on jobs and responsibilities that work within today's 21st century is key also.
Now, that term that you use, top-notch economic development leader, do you have anyone specifically in mind?
Got a list, but don't have anyone specifically in mind.
So you have brought the consideration down to individual people.
Well, in general, I mean, I've looked at various municipalities, various locations, and seeing who's doing a good job. And now we're going to either try to emulate that in the type of credentials the person has, or talk to those people directly.
Another set of factors that you talked about is bringing in the Chamber of Commerce, would be the Canton Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Stark Development Board,
Yes.
and businesses in general. Now, what I notice that's missing in that group is organized labor. Does organized labor have any part in the makeup of the economic resurgence of Canton?
Absolutely. Everybody has a place at the table, at my mayoral table. Organized labor has as good an idea as Kent Regional Chamber of Commerce. The list could go on and on. They would just, obviously, what you read of my interview was an edited interview, so it is what it is. So yes, I wouldn't preclude to eliminate anybody that had some ideas that could help.
So organized labor will have a place at the table in the
Absolutely.
Conde administration.
Absolutely. If they have some ideas, solid ideas, why wouldn't I listen to them?
How about annexation? Current Healy administration folks, one who includes a Republican, Sam Slyman, who is very big on annexation. What is your take on annexation as an economic development tool?
Annexation is a good tool, but annexation has to be done surgically. It has to be done correctly. Number one, it can't be hostile. There can't be a hostile annexation. If the property owners come to Canton and say, we want to be part of Canton for whatever reason, then we're going to look at that. It has to be logical. Do we want a half acre over here that's just at the tip of Canton, or do we want something more logical? Thirdly, I have to bring in, as I would do at any time, and I want to talk to some people. I want to talk to the safety forces. If they tell me, Mayor, we are stretched as tight as a rubber band can stretch, we couldn't cover another half an inch of property, then I'm going to have to back off a little bit. If city services said, we can't clean another road, we can't collect any more garbage, then we have to take that into consideration. But annexation is a wonderful way of bringing revenue into the city and expanding our borders.
Getting to a specific annexation, the Canton-Jackson Township arrangement. Was that a good annexation and a good collaboration for Canton?
Well, CEDAs are always good. They work well. The CEDA that we had when I was with the Creighton administration with Ossenberg is another prime example of a good annexation. There are good and bad to them, but it has to be open and everyone has to have the same understanding of what's going on.
And you think that criteria applies with the Jackson and Canton arrangement?
As far as I know, and I haven't looked into great detail, but I would look into detail and we can get back and talk again.
Okay. In terms of your program of economic development, how long would your vision of economic development take to get you to a point where your Canton has a balanced budget, and I think you were just talking as, for example, $3.5 million in a carryover, which I think was the case when you served in the Creighton administration. Is that correct?
Yes, that was the total amount. It was 2.85 1 year, and then. But will we get to that again? Hopefully. Is that the benchmark we need to meet? No. We need to get to the point where we get a true balanced budget, where we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, where we're not taking money out of compensated absences, where we're not taking money out of the capital fund to make ends meet and still not make ends meet and proclaim it to be a balanced budget. No, that's smoke and mirrors. We need to get to the point where we have the revenue that we need to cover all city services and hopefully have a carryover. How long will that take? Don't know what's in process now. I know when we left quite a bit in process when the Creighton administration left. I don't know what's in process right now within community economic development. We may start at ground zero. We may start at 100 feet. I don't know. But it's something we're going to work at. It's got to be a top priority, because if your revenue, and it's just like your own home, if your revenue's in line, it makes everything else so much easier to fall into place.
So it could be a Conde administration starting off might not be able to have what you call a real balanced budget?
Oh, I'd have to look at the budget, but I'll tell you what. I created the budget during the previous administration, and I know every line of that budget. So I can look at it and see where there may be some fat and where there may not be. So until I look at the budget and look at it line by line, we'll be able to tell then.
Well, some criticize the Healy administration budget as being unreal. Do you agree with that assessment?
It's everyone's perspective, and I'm not saying Mr. Healy's budget is unreal. I will say that it's not balanced, but whether it's unreal, I'm not going to characterize it that way.